When you have something important to say, it's key to communicate it the right way to make sure others are listening. Life coach Carla McClellan is here with some tips on getting your message across. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's my joy. You know, conversation has a certain intelligence that you need to use with it to make sure that whether you're talking to your teenage kids, your boss, a group of people, or teaching a class, there's a certain way to captivate people's interest.
Okay, how do we do that?
Well, first of all, especially if you're talking to your kids, be true. You know, be aware, be clear with them. Be as authentic as you can be. So asking them what's going on with them, indicating some interest in what's going on with them, rather than here's what I've got to tell you and you've got to be home by this time and here's what I expect you to do. And even little kids, I know when my grandson was real young, you know how you kind of pretend like you're listening?
Right.
And he would grab my face and he'd say, "No, look in my eyes."
That's so sweet.
And looking in your eyes is a way you know that somebody's paying attention to what you're saying.
Okay.
So that's important when we have you know, something that we really want to communicate with somebody. Spouse, kids, boss, whoever.
Across the board. Okay. What about less is more? What do you mean by that?
Oh my gosh. Have you ever listened to somebody who had 15 different points?
Oh yeah.
And then would go off on some side tangent and you're
going, how did we get
wait
here?
a minute, come back here. So what happens to us when we catch that people aren't getting what we're saying, we tend to give more details.
Right.
We tend to over-explain. So cut to the chase, less is more. People will listen more if you're clear.
Okay. And you say to read the room.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what it's like when you go into a room and you're going to do a presentation. You know, you sort of want to pause and just see where people are. So beginning with something that's interesting, like telling a joke or asking a question, is a great way to read the room. If you notice that people's eyes are glazing over,
stop what you're doing.
Time out. Perhaps you need to engage them a different way.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I think the research shows that people's attention span is 6 minutes.
Okay.
So that's why you got to shake it up every 6 minutes.
I like that.
Yeah. Which you do very well on this show.
Oh, thanks, Carla. What about painting a vivid picture?
Oh my gosh. People don't want to listen to you show them how intelligent you are, or how brilliant your information is, or what necessarily the latest research is. What they want is an emotional connection with what you're saying. So I have a great story that I use a lot of times about a friend of mine who was driving in a torrential rainstorm. And it was so dark she could barely see around her. And so she thought, well, I'll focus on the taillights of the car in front of me because that's all she could see. She noticed other cars had pulled off the side of the road. She didn't want to do that. So she's very carefully following the taillights of this car, and all of a sudden, the car stops. And she goes, oh my God, well, I'm going to be in this huge collision. So lo and behold, the door opens and out comes this guy and comes over and raps on her window. So she rolls her window down and he said, "Is everything all right?" And she said, "Well, I was going to ask you the same thing. You just stopped in the middle of the highway." And he said, "Ma'am, this is our driveway. We've just gotten home." So the power of observation, the power of being aware, you know, don't focus on the little things. You also have to be aware of everything else that's going on.
Some amazing tips, Carla. Thank you so much.
My joy.